Hey everyone, how's it going? Matthew Bailey here, and welcome to another Top Things video. And I know it's been sort of a while since I've done an official version of these. The last one I believe I did was my picks for the top 10 worst movies of 2019, but this time it's going to be a little bit different. As you can sort of tell by the picture behind me, this is going to be, this is going to be my list for the top. This is just going to be my ranking of the 9 Disney revival movies since 2009, I believe is the year, that I've seen this year. And which ones I thought were not so good, which ones I thought were the best ones of the year. And I will have Frozen 2 in this list. So if you want to avoid spoilers, then you might as well leave until you see the movie. But as of right now, let's get into my rankings for the 9 Disney revival films. Yeah, so at number 9, I have The Princess and the Frog. Now, this movie, I have to say, I thought it was a classic take on the princess and frog dynamic, but that whole thing with the New Orleans part, it wasn't that great, but it was still entertaining. I did like some of the songs in it, and however, the whole point of a person being a princess and falling in love is the main purpose, falling in love. And Tiana was the only princess who didn't really originally want to be a princess or fall in love. She just wanted to own a restaurant, and that was sort of the part that didn't get to me as much. And even after she falls in love with the prince, he helps her with her restaurant and all that sort of stuff. And it's supposed to teach him responsibility and all that, which I understood. It was still entertaining, but it wasn't that much of a good movie. And to be honest, this was technically the first movie that kicked off the revival movies, so it could have done better. But like I said, so number 9 is going to be Princess and the Frog. So at number 8, I have Big Hero 6. Now, at first, I almost forgot that this was a Disney film. I'm going to be totally honest. But, yeah, so Big Hero 6, I gotta say, this was a sort of cool interpretation that they did that mixed Disney-themed stuff with hero stuff. The title even has the word hero in it. And the whole movie was basically about a young boy who comes to terms with losing his older brother and using his invention to help people, but to become superheroes. And that's that's one thing I did like about this movie, is that they took the whole aspect of not only helping people but being a superhero and mixing it together in a cool and sort of awesome way. But the whole thing that got me down about this fantasy world was that they mixed Tokyo and San Francisco together, which are not in the same countries. And I know this is a made-up fantasy world, but still, if they wanted to make it up, they should have not taken actual names from countries and mixed them together. That's the whole thing that got me down a little bit. But like I said, Big Hero 6 was definitely interesting. I also have seen the show, or the little series that's based on it that takes place after the movie, and I thought that was okay too. I'm not even sure if they're planning on making the sequel to this movie, but it would be kind of nice to see how it turns out if they ever do. But for number 8, I'm going to go with Big Hero 6. Yeah, so for number 7, I'm going to go with Ralph Breaks the Internet, aka Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this film when it came out last year. It was a good sequel to the first Wreck-It Ralph, and I gotta say, that whole thing, it did sort of still teach younger audiences a little thing about about how friendships work, and how no matter where your friend is, you'll still be friends with them. I mean, I feel like that's what this movie had a plus on, and that's teaching younger audiences about friendships and how there some are so strong, and no matter where each friend is. And I gotta say, it was definitely a worthy follow up to the original movie. And that whole thing with the Disney princess cameos, where almost every original actress came back to voice their characters, except for obviously people like Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. All those had different voice actresses, but everybody else, who have had Disney princesses, even Tiana from Princess and the Frog came back to voice their characters, and we got to see cameos of like Big Hero 6 with Baymax, and it was kind of cool that they did this movie. I mean, it wasn't as good as the first one, obviously, but I still thought it was a worthy follow-up to the original, and I can't wait to see what comes next in the revival era. Yeah, so at number 6, we have the first Wreck-It Ralph. So I gotta say, this movie was a interesting interpretation of a Disney film, because we have some video game characters that already exist in the world, some that were made up, and obviously Wreck-It Ralph is one of them, but there were definitely some good things about this movie. I mean, it basically tells the story about a bad guy named Wreck-It Ralph from his own video game, who wants to be a good guy and get treated more better, and he goes on this incredible journey to not only make some new friends, but to also learn from the own slogan of the movie that it doesn't matter if you're a bad guy. It doesn't mean that you're a bad guy. That's basically what they say in the there's one line that's said like that in the movie, but I gotta say, it does sort of teach you, like I said, about friendships. It teaches you about living with who you are, and just take it one step at a time, or in this case, one game at a time. And this movie definitely introduced a good message, and I'm really excited for, like I said, the future of the Revival series, and see which movies are going to be coming out afterwards, and I'm really excited for it. But for number 6, I'm going to go with the first Wreck-It Ralph movie. So we're getting into the top 5, and at number 5 is obviously Tangled. I gotta say, this was definitely a worthy movie that got released after The Princess and the Frog, and I gotta say, they definitely started to really gain traction on the Disney revival era. And with Tangled, I was surprised at how well it turned out. I mean, the film basically follows a young Rapunzel finding out the truth about her lineage, but only by the help of a supposed criminal, who then turns to being a good guy, especially after he starts to have feelings for the young Rapunzel. And I gotta say, it definitely was a new interpretation on the Disney princess eras or the characters in general. And there's been a lot of speculation as to Rapunzel possibly being the cousin of Anna and Elsa from the Frozen movies, which I could see that as a possibility. I'm gonna say it right now, but especially because I will mention something about that in a second. But yeah, Tangled was truly a good movie. Yeah, so at number 4 is surprisingly Moana. I gotta say, this was also just like Tangled, and I forgot which other one I mentioned earlier in this video, but this was a new interpretation on the Disney princess era, and you got a young girl named Moana who is the daughter of a supposed chief of a tribe. And like I said, that's why I say this is a whole new interpretation on the Disney princess. And she goes off on this adventure to return some eye. I forgot exactly how the movie goes, but she meets up with Maui, voiced by legendary The Rock Dwayne Johnson, which the reason why I have this movie so high up on this list is his friggin' song in this movie, You're Welcome, really surprised me and how great that was. I mean, I had no idea Dwayne Johnson could sing that well. I mean, it just goes to show you that if a guy like Dwayne Johnson, who used to be a wrestler, can sing that great, I mean, that just proves to you that anybody can do great singing. So that's the reason why I really liked this film, and I can't wait to see if they possibly make a sequel to this movie. I mean, I'm not saying they would, but it would be nice if they did. But for number 4, I have Moana. Yep, so at number 3, I have the first Frozen movie. I gotta say, this was truly a classic Disney film that we deserved for when the Revival's era first launched. I mean, technically it was released 4 years after the Revival started, but hey, at least they started to really gain traction, like I said. And going back to what I said in my ranking for number 5 for Tangled, that whole theory that came up about how Anna, Elsa, and Rapunzel could be cousins, it could have still been proven, because we did sort of see a Rapunzel and Flynn Rider cameo in this movie, and at first I thought maybe this theory could still be proven, and even with the sequel to Frozen, I mean, it still could be proven. But yeah, like I said, Frozen was definitely a good Disney Revival movie, and Disney just always keeps coming up with new ideas that are truly entertaining, and I can't wait to see what they do next after Frozen 2. But for number 3, I have Frozen. Yeah, so at number 2, I have Zootopia. Now, I was having a little trouble deciding whether I should put this at number 1 or 2, but I decided to put it at number 2 because, like I said, this is one of the best single movie Disney Revival movies that I've ever seen, and I see how I like the way they decided to interpret this whole world, where it's mostly made up of animals between predator and prey, and it's about a buddy relationship between a prey and a predator, and I just really love the way they did this movie. I mean, I have been hearing rumors that there is a sequel that's in development, which I'm interested to see how that movie turns out. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll show us a little bit more about Nick and Judy's relationship, which a lot of people have been trying to be at odds whether they are in a relationship or whether they're just friends. But in my opinion, I feel like they're going to be in a relationship, which I guarantee you is going to probably cause some trouble between Judy and her parents. But and I've even seen cartoons, like little animated comic book type videos on YouTube about when they apparently are in a hospital because Judy's about to have a kid and everything. Like, that's pretty crazy. I mean, I could see that as possibly a story to tell in the sequel, but that's just my opinion. But anyways, for number 2 is going to be Zootopia. And of course, my number 1 best Disney Revival movie is Frozen 2. You knew it was going to make it somewhere near the high 5-1 list anyway, so yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I can't believe how well they did the sequel. I mean, this is the only Disney Revival movie besides Wreck-It Ralph to get a sequel. And that's theoretically released. That was released theatrically. So, that was pretty cool. I mean, I love the way, and like I said, spoilers at the beginning of the video. But basically, the whole point of the continuation of the Frozen series is then, it turns out Elsa and Anna's parents, when their ship crashed at the beginning of the first movie, or that it got washed up over by a bunch of waves, it turns out that they were looking for answers about Elsa and her powers. And I mean, just like the first movie, they have a scene where they're basically younger, and the parents tell them about an enchanted forest, and that's basically what this movie is about. Them traveling to the enchanted forest to figure out the source of Elsa's powers, and like I said, I'm not gonna give away too many spoilers. All I can say though is that this was a pretty good, solid sequel to the original, and I love that they gave Kristoff his own solo song in this movie. And I actually did a singing video where I sang that song myself. If you want to go check that out, it should be before this one. But I gotta say this. Like I said, I'm gonna say it again, but this was truly a remarkable sequel to the original, and I've been hearing a lot of speculation about a Frozen 3, but who knows whether they're gonna do that or not. But I have a feeling they probably will because of how well this movie's been doing. But anyways, that's basically all I have to say about this movie, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for the Disney revival movies after this one, but unless this is the last year for that, but I guess I'll find out. But anyways, my number one pick is Frozen 2. So that's my ranking of the 9 Disney Disney revival films that I've seen this year. I think there was a total of 10, but there was one I did not see or whatever because I wasn't really a big fan of the animated version of it. I'm not gonna say which one it is, but so that's basically it in this video, and I'm still gonna try to figure out what other videos for top things I'm gonna make. I'm definitely gonna be making my my best films of the year list pretty soon, maybe in the next 2 weeks after I see Jumanji: The Next Level, which is the last movie I might be seeing before I make the list. So anyways, that's all for now in this video, and I will see all you dudes in the next video.